Have you ever felt a sudden, heavy fatigue in the middle of the night? It's not from physical exhaustion, but because your mind is crowded with too many truths. In this era, we are all wrapped in layers of isms: liberalism, capitalism, individualism, the spirit of the rule of law, and even various philosophical schools. We thought we had mastered the truth, only to find that these truths have become shackles that leave us unable to move. The most important reason for reading the wisdom of ancient sages is to uplift our lives, to make us more joyful and light-hearted. If after reading the scriptures and understanding the truths, we instead become more serious and heavy, then something must be wrong. Zhuangzi left behind 5 profound words. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. This is actually the deepest warning for modern people. Once a truth is defined too rigidly or precisely, it has already drifted away from the most vivid essence of life. In today's society, we worship fixed values. We want everything to have a standard answer. We want templates for success, and we want KPIs for life. But have you ever thought that any logic, once pushed to the extreme, will encounter its boundary? Just like the rule of law we promote today, it is the cornerstone of the social contract. But if the rule of law turns into rigid legalism, it will suffocate human warmth and spirituality. Just like freedom, if it moves toward absolute egoism, it will evolve into a lonely wilderness. These tangible things, these rules we can see, are like trees in a forest. They are strong, but if a forest has only trees and no gaps, sunlight will never shine onto the ground. That gap is what Taoism calls nothingness. How do we live out the transparency of nothingness in a world of being? Taoism proposes a fascinating survival philosophy. Constantly be without desire to observe its mysteries. Constantly have desire to observe its boundaries. Here, being and nothingness are actually the breathing of life. The marks you leave in the material world, your identity, your achievements, that is, being. But if your whole life consists only of these marks, you will be exhausted by yourself. True wisdom is when you are at your busiest, yet deep in your heart, you still retain an exit of constant nothingness. This exit is non-attachment. It is the ability to say to yourself, regardless of how the outside world defines success, this is just my role for now, not the entirety of my soul. When you realize that any power operating to a certain extent will reveal its limitations, you learn to adapt at any time. Young people today like to talk about being sober, but true sobriety is not being a prisoner to any ism. You don't need to be a pure Marxist, nor do you need to be an extreme libertarian. You can borrow the sense of responsibility from Confucianism to treat your parents, borrow Western logic to handle work, and borrow Buddhist compassion to treat the weak. But all of this, moving through different schools, must ultimately return to your own nothingness. Nothingness is not emptiness. It is the composure of adapting fluidly to the environment in the context of Taoism. This term represents a high level of vital tension, rising and falling with the waves of the environment without being swallowed by them. When the timing is right, you give it your all. When the timing is over, you withdraw. If you always persist in being, your life will get stuck at a certain stage and fail to flow. When the mind is widened, truths are no longer your cage, but your tools. When your heart can embrace the unevenness of all things, and when you no longer try to paint the whole world with a single color, only then do you truly gain the freedom of life.